little surprisingly, there aren't many full hybrid small SUV crossovers on the market, just conventional models, mild hybrids and full electric contenders. But Hyundai has noted the success that Toyota's CHR has had in providing a full hybrid option in this segment, and in response has used the engineering first seen in the Kia Niro to bring us this Kona Hybrid model.
The Kona small SUV, named after the island of Hawaii's Kona district, has proved to be one of Hyundai's strongest selling models. It was first launched in 2017 with a range of petrol and diesel engines. Then a full electric battery-powered EV version joined the range in 2018. A year later, the CRDi diesel powerplants in the lineup were replaced by the far more eco-conscious variant we're going to look at here, the Kona Hybrid, a petrol-electric derivative using much of the engineering already seen in the company's frugally-focused IONIQ model. We ought to clarify the terminology here. Hybrid is a word bandied about quite a bit these days, but very often at present it designates mild hybrid technology, the sort of thing you get in this class, for instance, in a Ford Puma, which sees a normal combustion engine only very marginally electrified by a tiny battery positioned under the rear seat. Full hybrid engines are very different, and unlike mild hybrids, can switch to full electrification in city motoring. Toyota's CHR and Kia's Niro are the only other brands currently offering such a thing in the small SUV segment. The Kona Hybrid takes its drivetrain from the proven IONIQ Hybrid, using a Kappa 1.6 GDI Atkinson cycle combustion engine working with a 1.56 kilowatt-hour battery and a 32 kilowatt motor to deliver a maximum hybrid system power of 141 PS and 265 newton meters to the front wheels via a 6-speed dual-clutch auto transmission. That torque output isn't quite as much as was generated by the diesel version being replaced here, but it's not too far off. This model's little electric motor draws its energy from a lithium-ion polymer battery, but it's only 1.56 kilowatt-hours in size, so definitely not of the plug-in variety. As for performance, well, 62 miles an hour from rest takes 11.6 seconds en route to a 115 mile an hour maximum. This mildly electrified Kona model takes its more sophisticated multi-link rear suspension from the top variant in the petrol Kona range, the 1.6-litre premium GT derivative, and it can offer a towing capacity of up to 1,300 kilograms. On the move, you notice a somewhat rough, coarse note to the GDI petrol engine under harsh acceleration. It's one of Hyundai's older units. But liftoff and refinement reign supreme, perfectly complementing the light but accurate motor-driven power steering system that makes the car so easy to precisely place on the road, whether you're in town or threading your way at speed through corners on the open lanes. To improve traction and damping through those bends, there's also an advanced traction cornering control package. Plus, there's a sport mode to sharpen throttle response and give the steering a little more weight. It's difficult to distinguish a Kona Hybrid from a conventional petrol model, but brand loyalists will perhaps note the 16-inch wheels of a design bespoke to the hybrid version and the special blue dry badging used on the wings and the tailgate. Otherwise, the exterior looks are as with any other ordinary Kona SUV. So you get unusually styled twin headlamps and a distinctive cascading front grille. Short rear overhangs and a low roofline add to the purposeful silhouette, plus contrasting exterior accents and standard fit roof bars inject a bit of all-important SUV flavour. Move to the back, and the styling flourishes come equally thick and fast. Your eye is drawn by the wraparound cladding that houses the indicators and the reversing lights, and then perhaps by these slim, high-set LED tail lamps. The neat roof spoiler incorporates an LED brake light, while lower down, a silvered skid plate style panel is intended to add to the crossover demeanour. Inside, there's a cabin distinguished in this hybrid model by white accents around the air vents and the gear lever surround, as well as accompanying white stitching for the seats. The base SE model gets a 7-inch centre dash touchscreen, but further up the range, that's replaced by this larger, more sophisticated 10.25-inch monitor. Through the wheel, the instrument cluster's slightly different, as you'd expect it would be in a full hybrid model. The left-hand gauge replaced by a dial with blue charge, green eco and white power sections. You can also bring up an informative energy flow meter to display between the gauges, which shows you at any given time what's being powered by or charging what. What about rear seat space? Well, as it turns out, by the modest standards of the small SUV segment, it's not too bad in the back for the carriage of two folk, provided they're not especially lanky of leg. If they are, then compromises will need to be made by the front seat occupants in order to be able to accommodate them. The body shell is slightly wider than it would be in a conventional Super Mini, though not by enough to make the prospect of sharing the back seat with two other adults a particularly comfortable one, despite the relatively low centre transmission tunnel. The door bins are tiny, but you do get netted seat back pockets and a central armrest with cup holders. Out back, there's a 361-litre boot that's the same size as that of the ordinary petrol model. You have 4 tie-down points, a bag hook, and there's a bit of extra space beneath the boot floor as well, though only because Hyundai declines to offer any kind of space-saver spare wheel. If you want to extend the space, pushing forward the 60-40 split rear seat back frees up 1,143 litres of extra room. There are 3 Kona Hybrid trim levels, SE, Premium and Premium SE, with pricing that from launch was pitched from around £22,500 to just over £27,000. To give you some perspective, that's just over £3,500 more than you'd pay for an equivalently specified Kona with the brand's more conventional 1-litre TGDI 120 PS petrol engine. You can't have that conventional model in 1-litre form with an auto gearbox, though. If you could, the price difference to this hybrid variant would obviously be much narrower. Anyway, whichever Kona Hybrid derivative you go for, equipment levels are pretty generous. Even the base SE variant comes with climate control, an electric parking brake and steering wheel mounted gearshift paddles, plus there's a 7-inch centre dash infotainment screen with smartphone mirroring. Safety has been a particular feature of the development of this car. Lane keeping assist system is standard, as is a driver attention alert system, and all variants can be fitted with autonomous emergency braking, a system that scans the road ahead as you drive. They're set up looking for potential collision hazards. If one is detected, you'll be warned. If you don't respond or aren't able to, the brakes will automatically be applied to decrease the severity of any resulting accident. Other key Kona safety features include smart cruise control, a blind spot detector, a rear cross traffic alert, a speed limit information function and high beam assist. Further up the range, premium spec gets you bigger 18-inch wheels, keyless entry, auto wipers, front fog lamps and privacy glass. Inside, a premium spec model gives you a wireless charging mat and the larger 10.25-inch centre dash infotainment screen, which incorporates navigation and an upgraded Krell audio system. The top-spec Premium SE model adds full LED headlamps with high beam assist, leather seat trim and heated, ventilated and electrically operated front seats, along with a head-up display. Let's get to the figures. In base SE form, this Kona Hybrid manages 56.5 miles to the gallon on the WLTP combined cycle and 90 grams per kilometre of any DC-rated CO2. Go for one of the two premium spec models with their larger 18-inch wheels, and those figures fall to 52.3 miles to the gallon and 99 grams per kilometre. To give you some range perspective on those figures, a conventional 1-litre TGDI petrol-powered 120 PS Kona model manages 44.1 miles to the gallon and 125 grams per kilometre of CO2. Insurance is rated at Group 13E, but falls to Group 11E on the top premium SE model thanks to its extra camera safety kit. As for servicing, well, your Kona will need a garage visit once a year or every 10,000 miles, whichever comes sooner. If you want to budget ahead for routine maintenance, there are various Hyundai Sense packages that offer fixed price servicing over 2, 3 or 5 year periods. You can pay for your plan monthly and add MOTs into the 3 or 5 year plans for an extra fee. The strong buying incentive is the 5-year unlimited mileage warranty that comes as standard. It's backed up by breakdown cover that lasts the same length of time and free annual vehicle health checks over this duration. If you're after a small crossover that's particularly city orientated and you're not quite ready to take the plunge into full EV motoring, then this Kona Hybrid might prove to be a very good pick. This variant hasn't, of course, garnered as many headlines as the fully battery-powered Kona Electric, but in reality, right here, right now, it's probably the better pick for the majority of likely buyers. Obviously, the key competitor on Hyundai's radar here is the Toyota CHR. Well, that car represents tough opposition, but there's certainly plenty of room in the full hybrid part of this class for both cars, and this Kona represents a slightly better value proposition. We think it's a car the segment will like.